Hi everyone, welcome back to Knockout Data Insights.
Hello.
So it's been a while since our last video, but we're excited to be back. Kalina and I, we recently participated in the Power BI DataViz World Championship, and we were asked to build reports on specific topics from the tournament organizers. And it's a really fun competition to hone your data skills and also to recognize some of the best analysts and the best Power BI developers in the world. And I highly recommend watching the championship that took place at the most recent Microsoft Fabric Community Conference and just looking at some of the top rated submissions from the qualifying rounds. You can really learn a lot from them. And I bring this up because this competition is what inspired us to create and share this video with you. So kudos to the organizers for bringing this topic the attention it deserves. So I just want to share with you the criteria that the competition used. So here you can see the different reports were being judged on insightfulness, visual effectiveness, and accessibility. And accessibility accounted for a third of the score. And so today we're going to share with you what we've learned and how you can make your Power BI reports more inclusive. Before I get into all that, I just want to show some statistics to prove how important it is. For example, around 28% of people globally have some type of visual impairment, meaning they can't see far very well or up close. And also, color blindness is a big issue when it comes to analytics and visualizations. So it does affect males more. As much as 8% of males have it, and 0.4% of females globally have it. Then you also have cognitive disabilities. Um, Cognitive disabilities may impact someone's ability to interpret complex dashboards and really dense visuals. And you can see as much as 10.8% of US adults have some sort of cognitive disability. And another statistic I wanted to show is the motor disabilities. So while perhaps that plays a smaller factor when it comes to Power BI reports, it can still play a big role. Like for example, if somebody has trouble using their arms or hands, it can be very difficult for them to use a mouse um, on your report or just to interact with small icons. So a lot of people rely on keyboard navigation or screen readers to consume the reports. And in this video, Kalina will share tips with you on how you can help your audience with that. So one of the biggest issues when it comes to accessibility is the use of color, especially when it comes to data analytics. And one of those issues is a common condition called CVD, which stands for color vision deficiency. And it's often referred to as color blindness. But that's not entirely correct because people with CVD can indeed see different colors, except in very rare cases. They just don't see it in the same way as most of the population. And here you can see there are three main types, one for people who have trouble seeing red, one for green, and another for blue. But blue is much more rare, so it's mainly an issue with red and green. And it's one of the reasons also why we chose the color blue for our brand to be more accessible. And there's also one fourth type of CVD where people have no color perception at all, and the world appears to them in different shades of gray. So you can see that at the bottom, that example, but thankfully it's even more rare. So when we're designing reports and visualizations for accessibility, we should be mindful when using red and green at the very least. And especially because in analytics, it's often used to signify good or bad metrics. In Excel, for example, you have the option to apply conditional formatting, and the first option you will see there is green for positive numbers, red for negative numbers, yellow for no change. So it's good, bad, neutral, and that's because green, yellow, and red are the traffic light colors. So it's very common, and people are very used to seeing it, but unfortunately, it's not very accessible. So we need to do better. And I wanted to share one website that I personally use to help me pick out colors and see what they will look like, and also to build out color palettes. And that's the Figma website. So you can select a color that you want, for example, chili red, and then there's all sorts of information on it, but there is a accessibility section, and it will tell you how red looks like to the people with the different types of CVD. So here you can see red and green weakness. It looks kind of like a dark shade of yellow, kind of like almost like gold. And then here, for example, the people with complete color blindness, they will just see a dark gray. So before I wrap up the topic on color, there's one more thing you should know about that's really important in regards to accessibility, and that's color contrast. So contrast is it's the difference between the lightest and the darkest parts of your display. In simple terms, it tells you how easily you can distinguish text or objects from one another. And why is it so important? It's important for people with visual impairments or CVD. So we just talked about that, but also for readability. So even when someone has perfect vision, our eyes still get tired from reading, from looking at the computer all day. So you want to make it as easy as possible for your audience, so that we don't have to strain as much. And the more contrast, the less strain there's involved. And last but not least is design clarity. Sometimes you want to bring attention to a certain part of your graph or a certain part of your report, and you might use color to do that. But you just want to make sure there's proper contrast for it to really stand out. And how do you know what's the proper contrast? Well, it's being measured using a metric called a contrast ratio. And here you have some examples. So 21:1 is the perfect contrast, and that's when you take black and white. So you can clearly see white on black, and you can see black on white. And then in the middle, for example, you have white text with a dark gray background. So that's a 7:1 ratio. And then next to that, you see 4.5:1. So now the shade of gray is lighter. So you can still see it, but it's not as good. And what's the right contrast ratio? So there's actually international standards on this. There's the Web Content Accessibility Guidelines, and they provide guidance on how to design websites, digital content, and applications to be usable by everyone. So what they recommend is 4.5:1 for it to be accessible. That's for normal text. But if you have a larger text, you can get away with a little bit less contrast. You can get away with 3:1 because larger text is easier to read. But ideally, you want to aim for 7:1, which would mean that it's very accessible and it's clear to everyone. And for that, I just want to quickly go back to the same website. So while we have these color simulations, they also have the contrast ratios as well. So here, for example, you can see how this shade of red looks like on a white background. So this has a contrast ratio of 5.56:1. So that's above the 4.5 that was recommended, but it's not quite the 7.1 that's ideal. But if you have large text, then it's fine. It meets the standard guidelines. Meanwhile, it doesn't look so clearly on a black background. So now it fails like all the tests except for one. It You're able to get a 3:1 ratio on large text, but that's not ideal. So like if you're using this color, you should not use dark backgrounds. And one more website that I really liked, and then it's this contrast checker. So you can just pick two colors and just see what it is. Let's say I want to pick yellow and white. So really poor contrast ratio, but like yellow and black, and now it increases. So you can really just play with this, and you see it, the ratings change from pass or fail depending on how far you pick. So I'll share this link as well. And yeah, so these are my tips on color. There's also a lot of things that are specific to Power BI in regards to accessibility. So I'll just turn it over to Kalina to share those.
Thank you, Oleg. So before I continue with Power BI, I would like to ask you a question related to colors, contrast, and the color vision deficiency. So you mentioned about the standards, you mentioned about websites, how we can check uh, how our colors are performing when we're building a new report, but is there a chance that we can test our existing reports, how they are performing when it comes to color, to contrast?
Yeah, that's a really good question. And I was going to share something at the end of the presentation, but since you're asking, this is a perfect example of that. So, yes, there's a lot of websites, and there might be some software you can install on your computer for Power BI. I'm not 100% sure on that. But what I use is there's this plugin that I installed on my Chrome browser, and it's the Web Disability Simulator, and it'll show you how it looks like with certain types of CVD. So here, for example, this is one of the submissions that I had for the Power BI World Championship Week 1, and in this case, the color red was used. Generally, I try to avoid it, but because the topic for this round of competition was about love and Valentine's Day, that I still used it. So I was confident that it would be fine, but you always have a way to check for that. So let's say I can check for red-green color blindness. So now I can see how it will look like. So unfortunately, this is no longer red. It doesn't fit the theme of Valentine's, but at least you can see there's still a clear contrast with the white backgrounds and the black text. But it looks now much different. And you also have the ability to switch to other types. So, like for example, total color blindness. So now you can see it's black and white. So this to use this, you'd have to publish it to a Power BI service, but I think that's a really quick and easy way to do so, given that every browser has so many add-ons and plugins to do this. So I would recommend this, and I'll share a link to this as well.
Thank you. Thanks for sharing that. That's really useful.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I'll continue with some of the accessibility features in Power BI, both for report users and for developers. And I'll start with the basics, which are features that are available in Power BI, and we don't need to configure anything about them. So first things first, Power BI is accessible for screen readers. It's compatible with all of the famous ones on the market. So, for example, for Windows users, we can use the built-in Windows narrator. Then we can read information both from the service and from Power BI desktop when designing a report. We also do have the accessible themes. So I'm in Power BI desktop, and under the View tab, when I expand all of the built-in color palettes, there is this section accessible themes. And these are perfect already with the high contrast and with color blindness in mind. So if you don't have any specific requirements for your report when it comes to color, if you don't have any branding requirements, I would advise to use these. And then you'll be on the safe side when it comes to visual impairments and report users having them. Another thing that comes quite handy for some sort of impairment is having this focus mode. on each visual that allows us to isolate the visual itself and see it better and clear. And I would also like to show you something in the service. So for report users, we can navigate through this report using the tab key on our keyboard. And one thing that you can do is with Shift and the question mark sign, you see all of the keyboard shortcuts that you can use as well, besides the tab key. Then if you want to explore everything that's available, you can also navigate to the Microsoft website. Here you have in-depth documentation for some common shortcuts. Then there are some visual specific ones, like for the table, for matrix navigation. We also do have specifics for slicers and DAX, even DAX formulas as well. So yeah, check these if you're using the reports with the tab key. That's super handy. And these are the basics when it comes to accessibility and built-in features. But for truly accessible experience, we also need to configure a few things ourselves, being Power BI developers. And I'll go into the detail for this and show you how to configure these. So these things are the tab order and the alt text. And tab order is closely related to screen readers. Tab order in Power BI refers to the sequence in which the user navigates through visual elements like charts, slicers, basically everything you have on the report. And you can check first in the service how the tab order is on your existing reports. I'm using the tab key, and when I'm in the report, you'll see how with the tab key I'm selecting first this slicer here, then some of the icons, and then some text on the extreme right. Then I'm going to a chart on the left, and this is really confusing for report users, and it will be hard to follow for users with visual impairments, as the screen reader will read the report content following this tab order. And by default, Power BI sets the tab order in the order in which you place the visuals on your report page. But we can quickly change these. So I'm jumping back to the desktop, and we have this selection pane under the view section that we can open. And here in tab order, you'll see all of the elements that you have on the report. And you can reorder these by moving them up and down on the report and ordering them in logical way. And let's see now in the desktop, again, I'm starting with the tab key. Now I reordered my visuals, and I'm starting with the header. Then I'm moving to the slicers. Then I have my text and the related visual to this text. I'm assuming that my report users are reading from left to right. Therefore, I'm starting from left and moving my way right to the visuals. And then when it comes to the some decorative elements that they have on the report, like these icons here, we can hide them. And as these are hidden, the user won't be navigated on them, won't be able to interact with them. And that's something that I would recommend you to do with decorative elements, because the user shouldn't be moved to items which they cannot interact with. And another important thing that goes hand in hand with this tab order, and it's important for accessibility, it's the alt text or so-called alternative text in Power BI. Essentially, this is the description that we can see under properties when we select the visual on a report. And this alt text is something that you can add here. So alt text is helping users who rely on screen readers understand the content and the purpose for the visual. If you don't provide it, then the screen reader may skip the visual at all, or may read something generic like this is a stacked bar chart, or this is an image, and like this the users misses out crucial insights from the report. So therefore, alt text should be included for all of the visuals that are on your report page. And
Quick question. Is there any limitations that you're aware of when it comes to alt text, and like how do you deal with those?
we do have a limitation in terms of characters. So we have up to 250 characters in each box for each visual. So keep it short and only write the essence in these boxes. Also, there is a way how we can overcome this limitation a bit. We have this conditional formatting available here. And what this means is that based on a field value, we can have additional or different text that will be read out for the report user. So let's say when we are selecting something specific in the slicer, or when a number goes up and down a specific amount. But yeah, this is something conditional that we should keep in mind. Thanks for
Okay.
thanks for
Thank you. I
asking.
really like that you can do the conditional formatting within it.
Yeah. So with this, I'm wrapping up all of the accessibility features when it comes to Power BI, and that's what we need to consider for all of our reports. And let me stop sharing my screen. So to wrap it up, accessibility isn't just a good design; it's a smart design. And Power BI gives us the tools to make our reports usable for more people. And it's up to us to put these tools to work. And we hope today's video gave you a clearer picture of what accessible reporting really means. If you learned something new, give us a like, hit subscribe, and let us know in the comments. What are your favorite accessibility features in Power BI? Because there are some more. Thanks for watching Knockout Data Insights, and hope to see you next time. Bye.
Yeah, thank you. Bye.